I'm very excited to be here. I'm so thankful that I can be here. And that's something that I just have to say to everybody who's contemplating doing this, because it was 2 years ago, the month before the COVID began, that I was beginning to have an epiphany about what direction my art might take. I was beginning to get freer and more energy, and I did everything from watching you do, I don't even know how it began, but are you the one that told me to get the biggest roll of paper I could find? And I found a big roll of white paper, 48 inches wide. And I happened to have a board that was left over that I was walking on, but I propped it up on some cement blocks in my studio, which I had at the time. and I started wall writing, just going along the whole roll. And then I had to go away for a couple of weeks to stay with a relative who was having some cancer treatments. And while I was away, I saw people in the airport wearing masks. And it was just starting. And when I came home from there in 3 weeks, the airport in Denver was an unbelievable sight. There were dogs watching people, and they were sniffing for sick people. They were sniffing for drugs, but there must have been 1,000 people there. And within 2 weeks, it was full-fledged COVID time. And the fear of that, coupled with, thank heavens, I had this course. I had signed up for it, and I was just beginning to get into it. And I had a couple of 2 years in a row. I had a couple accidents where I hurt myself, and I had to be stuck in a chair for about 3 or 4 months, both times. And I couldn't put any weight on my leg. And so I was so grateful to have a new idea to think about, that I was forced. I couldn't go anywhere. I couldn't paint. I couldn't do anything except watch and hope and play around in my watercolor sketchbook. And that was the beginning of my change over to this. And in the time that I've been not doing this full time, but I've kind of lost all track of time, because it did parallel the time from the beginning of COVID, which is 2 years now. And I feel that I can never go back to the way I painted before. I was doing okay. I had done some formal training. I'd made a lot of mistakes. I kind of got some public criticism, and it was a very scary time. But this, which was really scary, this COVID thing, fear of that, was obliterated with what I'll try to bring it together so I don't take forever to explain this. But I began to see hope coming through, and that I could do this, and I was going to do it. And I have been doing it ever since, even though for 4 months out of the 2 years, I couldn't even get into a studio to work. So anyway, here I am, and I'm making paintings that are much smaller than I want to be making them. I'm surrounded by different sizes. Behind me are just little tiny things. Those are just little bitty exercises for ideas, maquettes, and where to go from there, and playing with the idea of the adjacent possibility. but all of the terms and the concepts that have emerged working with Nancy, and how she has explained, and with Bruce, explained so many fascinating ideas about art, the connection with science and the connection to music, all of which I can relate to in my personal experience and through people that I know in my family, and what my children have done and are doing. They're all creative, and it has to be part of this is just through inklings that I had in the beginning, 2.5 years ago, where I thought maybe I could really do some abstract art. I'm really beginning to love it and look at it and try to imagine myself having the freedom to do that. And I saw that the painters that I knew personally who were starting to do abstract art had a freedom that I envied. And now I can begin to experience that freedom. And I am so excited that I hope I don't fall and hurt myself again. But anyway, this has come because of working with you, Nancy. And I felt when I first 2 years ago started to listen to what you were talking about yourself and some of the personal situations I had gone through, I thought, well, maybe I should, here's a psychiatrist who's teaching abstract art. It's like, this is the magic. This is the good fairy here who's going to sprinkle the dust and allow us to enjoy this freedom. And I'm sensing that, and I cannot get out of my studio now. I mean, actually going to go to a real one in the town across the river where I worked before, so I can have exposure with some tourists and public people who love to go shopping. And they bring all their money down from Boston. And those of us in Rhode Island think, okay, we're here. All thousands of artists waiting for the buyers, the collectors. Anyway, it's just so much fun, and it just is so hopeful. And I can't thank you enough, Nancy, for making me be able to realize this, that I can do this, and I am doing it. And one little tiny story to relate to what someone else said about putting it out there. I mean, not just talking to ourselves and posting the pictures, the paintings in our own group, but I put a little tiny study I had done on my regular Facebook page. And there were like 75 comments. And maybe not all comments, but at least that many reactions. And one was from someone who 22 years ago was one of my first teachers. I had never done oil painting before. That's when I started oil painting. And this person commented in one word. He said, harmony. And I got so excited that this person was even watching, a former teacher. So I said, thank you, Anil. I mean, you're one of my favorite teachers. And then he ended up saying, best in show. As a kind of afterthought that he really needed to say, because the harmony really, he was talking about the color and I think it's on my pictures in the group. It's just yellow and gray. That's all it is. Anyway, so here I am shedding a tear. So excited to be here.
Thank you.
And I'm going to keep on doing this.
Thank you. Oh, thank you.
Because I can't not. I can't not do it.
I love it. I love
Yeah,
you.
I'm hooked.
And
I
everyone.
love everyone in this group. I
Everyone
can't
loves
tell
you. Yeah, Libby's
It's
big,
just-
and Libby shows up on the calls and just brings so much to it. You do, and we love you. So thank you, Libby.
Thank you. Thank you.